When you think about what makes the Strata community run smoothly, it really comes down to having a solid rulebook. Today, we're going to dive deep into a really important part of the Strata Management Act. We're talking about the specific, non-negotiable rules that say when a management committee member has to step down. So let's just ask the question straight up. What actually gets a management committee member fired? Now, this isn't about petty arguments or who you like and dislike. The law has a very, very specific list of reasons, and honestly, some of them might surprise you. But before we get into that list, we need to understand why these rules are even here. This isn't just red tape for the sake of it. Think of these rules as essential safeguards. They're there to protect the community's money and property and to make sure the committee is acting with integrity. It's all about responsible governance. Okay, so the Act kicks things off with the most straightforward situations. I like to call these the automatic exits. Why? Because in these cases, the person's departure from the committee is immediate. There's no debate, no discussion, it just happens. And here they are, the Big Four, straight from subparagraphs A through D of the Act. A member is automatically out if they just plain resign, or, of course, if they pass away. They're also out if they're declared bankrupt. And finally, if they sell their unit and aren't an owner in the strata anymore. Simple, right? Totally clear-cut? All right, moving on from those automatic exits, we get into an area that's less about circumstances and much more about character and personal conduct. These rules are all about making sure the people on the committee are actually fit to serve the community and uphold its integrity. And the law gets really serious when it comes to criminal convictions. We're looking at subparagraph E here. A member is out if they're convicted of something involving fraud or dishonesty. It also uses this term, moral turpitude. What does that mean? Well, it's basically conduct that's considered shocking or just plain wrong by society's standards. On top of that, any conviction for corruption, for breaking the Strata Management Act, or for any crime that could land you in prison for more than 2 years, yep, that's grounds for removal too. Now this next one, from subparagraph F, is really interesting because it isn't even about breaking a law. A member has to go if their conduct, and I'm quoting here, has been such as to bring discredit on the management committee. So this covers behavior that just flat out damages the committee's reputation, even if it wasn't technically illegal. It's about maintaining public trust. The Act is also just practical. Subparagraph G says that if a member becomes of unsound mind or is otherwise just incapable of doing their job, they have to leave office. Now, this could cover things like a serious long-term illness or any other condition that physically or mentally stops them from being able to fulfill their duties to the community. Okay, so we've talked about character and conduct, but what about just not doing the work? What happens if a committee member isn't showing up or isn't meeting their basic responsibilities? Well, you guessed it. The law has very clear rules for that as well. Let's talk about absenteeism because you need to pay close attention here. The rules, which come from subparagraphs H and I, are a little different for the chairman versus a regular member. For the chairman, they're out if they miss 3 scheduled meetings in a row without getting permission from the whole committee. For any other member, they're out if they miss 3 consecutive meetings of any kind without getting written permission from the chairman. See, it's a small difference, but a really important one. And this next one, from subparagraph K, oh, this is a big one. You absolutely cannot serve on the management committee if you owe money to the condo. It's that simple. If a member is behind on their maintenance charges or sinking fund for 3 straight months, they are automatically out. No ifs, ands, or buts.
So what happens if a member breaks the bylaws? Well, subparagraph L covers this, but it's not for minor slip-ups. It's a very clear 3-step process. First, the member has to commit a serious breach. Second, the committee has to issue them a formal notice telling them to fix it. And third, if they don't fix the problem within 14 days, then they have to vacate their position.
There's also a special rule from subparagraph J for members who aren't just individual owners. The ones who are there representing a company or some other official body. For them, it's pretty straightforward. If that company decides to pull them as their representative, their seat on the committee is immediately empty.
Okay, so a committee member is out. Their office is officially vacant. What happens then? You can't just leave a spot empty, right? Don't worry, the law provides very clear steps to make sure the committee can keep on running smoothly.
As you can see here, there are a few ways a vacancy can be filled, and it really depends on the situation. Sometimes, the original company can just appoint a new person. Other times, the whole community might vote on a replacement in a special meeting. Or the remaining committee members can appoint someone to fill the seat until the next big annual meeting. The main thing to remember is there's always a clear process in place, so the committee doesn't just grind to a halt.
So there you have it. That's the complete rundown of exactly when and why a committee member must leave their post according to the Strata Management Act. These are some really powerful rules, all designed to ensure accountability and integrity. And that leaves us with one final thought for you. Now that you know the rules, how well is your community being governed?